There are times in our lives when the world feels heavy. It presses down on our shoulders, making it hard to breathe. For me, that time was the winter of 2022. It felt like I was standing at the bottom of a deep, dark well. The walls were slick with mud, and I couldn't find a foothold. Every problem felt enormous, and every worry seemed to multiply in the darkness. I was overwhelmed by a sense of being completely and utterly stuck. The feeling was not just in my mind, it was a physical weight in my chest. A constant, dull ache that reminded me of my own powerlessness in the face of mounting chaos. I felt isolated, believing I was the only one struggling this intensely, a belief that shame loves to whisper in our quietest moments. The phone call came on a Tuesday. The words were corporate and cold. Restructuring, redundancies. Your position has been eliminated. Just like that, a huge piece of my identity was gone. I wasn't just losing a paycheck. I was losing my sense of purpose. My job was how I defined my worth. It was the answer I gave when people asked, "What do you do?" Without it, I felt empty and ashamed. I spent days replaying every mistake, every missed opportunity. The shame spiraled, telling me I wasn't good enough. It told me I had failed not just as an employee, but as a person. The silence in my apartment was deafening, filled only with the loud, critical voice in my own head. This loss created a domino effect. Financial anxiety began to creep into every corner of my life. Simple trips to the grocery store became exercises in stress. I would stand in the aisles, calculating every purchase, my heart pounding with the fear of not having enough. This constant state of worry was exhausting. It drained my energy and stole my joy. I started to withdraw from the world. I avoided calls from friends and family because I didn't know how to explain what was happening. I didn't have the words to articulate the shame and fear that had become my constant companions. I was building a wall around myself, brick by invisible brick, convinced it was safer to be alone with my failure. The days blurred into one another, a monotonous cycle of waking up with a sense of dread and going to bed with a sense of defeat. I felt trapped in a narrative of scarcity and fear. It was a lonely place. The world outside my window kept moving, but I was frozen in time, stuck in the moment of my greatest professional failure. This period was a harsh lesson in how deeply we tie our self-worth to our productivity and our titles. When those things are stripped away, we are forced to confront the person underneath. And at that moment, I was terrified of who that person was. I was convinced she was weak, incapable, and fundamentally flawed. The darkness felt permanent. One afternoon, desperate for any kind of escape, I found an old empty notebook tucked away in a drawer. It was nothing special, just a simple journal with lined pages. I didn't know what I was going to write. I just knew I had to get the swirling storm of thoughts out of my head. My hand trembled as I wrote the first words. I wrote about the phone call. I wrote about the shame. I wrote about the fear of the future. The words came out in a messy, unfiltered rush. They were angry and sad and scared. It wasn't pretty, but it was honest. It was the first time I had been truly honest with myself about the depth of my pain. Journaling became my daily ritual. It was my safe space to fall apart. On those pages, I didn't have to pretend to be strong. I could be messy and vulnerable. I could write down the things I was too ashamed to say out loud. The act of writing was a release. It was like opening a pressure valve. Each day, I would pour my anxieties onto the page. The journal didn't offer solutions. It didn't fix my problems. But it did something incredibly important. It listened without judgment. It held my pain so that I didn't have to carry it all alone, every single moment of the day. It was a small act of self-compassion in a time when I felt I deserved none. Slowly, something started to shift. As I filled the pages, I began to see patterns in my thinking. I noticed how harsh my inner critic was. I saw how my fear was creating stories that weren't necessarily true. Writing it all down gave me distance from my thoughts. I could see them for what they were, just thoughts, not facts. This small space between my feelings and my reality was a game changer. It was a tiny sliver of light in the darkness. It gave me the first inkling that I was not my pain. I was the person experiencing the pain. This distinction, however small, felt like a lifeline in the churning sea of my emotions. I encourage you to try it. Find a notebook. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just start writing. Write what hurts. Write what you're afraid of. Write what makes you angry. Don't worry about grammar or spelling. Just get it out. The goal isn't to create a masterpiece. The goal is to create a space for your truth. Your story matters, and the first person who needs to hear it is you. The blank page can be an incredibly compassionate friend. It can be the first step toward understanding your own heart and untangling the knots of worry and fear that hold you back. It is an act of courage to face the blank page and fill it with your truth. My journal was my secret keeper, but I knew deep down that healing couldn't happen in complete isolation. Shame thrives in silence and secrecy. Its power diminishes when we share our stories with people we trust. The thought of telling someone my truth was terrifying. It felt like the ultimate act of vulnerability. What if they judged me? What if they saw me as a failure? My fear was whispering all the worst-case scenarios. It took me weeks to build up the courage. My finger hovered over the contact for my friend Sarah, more times than I can count. The fear of being seen in my brokenness was almost paralyzing. Finally, I made the call. My voice was shaky when Sarah answered. I started with, "I'm not okay." Those 3 words were the hardest to say, but they were also the most liberating. I told her everything. I told her about losing my job, the financial fear, and the crushing weight of feeling worthless. I cried. I stumbled over my words. I laid my shame out in the open. I braced myself for pity, or even worse, for awkward silence. I was fully prepared for her to offer easy platitudes or try to fix my problems, which is often our first instinct when someone we care about is hurting. That moment of waiting for her response felt like an eternity. Sarah didn't try to fix me. She didn't offer empty reassurances. She just listened. When I was finished, there was a pause. And then she said something that changed everything for me. She said, "I'm so glad you told me. I'm here. You are not alone in this." Then she shared a story of her own, a time when she had felt like a failure and was too afraid to tell anyone. In that moment, my shame lost its power. I wasn't the only one. My experience wasn't a sign of some unique personal flaw. It was a human experience. Her empathy was a bridge. It connected my story to hers. And in that connection, I found relief and a profound sense of belonging. That conversation was the turning point. It was the first step out of the well. Reaching out for support is an act of incredible strength. It is not a sign of weakness. We are wired for connection. We need each other to navigate the difficult parts of life. When we have the courage to be vulnerable and share our stories, we give others permission to do the same. We create a space where empathy can grow. If you are struggling, I urge you to find that one person you can trust. Let them in. Speak your shame. You might be surprised to find that instead of judgment, you are met with the 2 most powerful words in the human language: me too. That conversation with Sarah didn't magically solve all my problems, but it did ignite a small spark of motivation within me. I was tired of feeling powerless. I decided to take one small step. Instead of spending my days replaying my failures, I decided to learn something new. I had always been curious about community organizing, so I signed up for a free online course. It was a small, manageable goal. The simple act of learning gave my days a new structure and a sense of purpose. It was a way of investing in myself again, of believing that I was still capable of growth, even when I felt so broken. As I learned, I became passionate about the idea of creating stronger, more connected communities. I started to see a need right in my own neighborhood. Many of my elderly neighbors were feeling isolated, especially since the local community center had reduced its hours. I remembered the loneliness I had felt, and my heart went out to them. I decided to use my newfound knowledge. I started a small project, a front porch visit initiative. I simply went door to door, introduced myself, and offered to spend half an hour just chatting with anyone who was interested. It was scary at first, but the desire to help was stronger than my fear of rejection. The response was overwhelming. People were hungry for connection. Those front porch conversations became the highlight of my week. I heard incredible life stories. I shared laughter. I offered a listening ear. In helping others combat their loneliness, I was healing my own. I realized that my own pain had given me a unique capacity for empathy. I could sit with others in their struggles because I knew what it felt like to be there myself. My journey was no longer just about my own healing. It was about using my experience to serve others. This shift from me to we was profoundly healing and empowering. Of course, it wasn't a straight line to recovery. There were setbacks. There were days when self-doubt crept back in. I would wake up and the old feelings of worthlessness would be sitting on my chest. I had moments where I questioned everything. Was I really making a difference? Was I just fooling myself? But this time, it was different. I had developed a new resilience. I learned to be kind to myself on those hard days. I would remind myself of the progress I had made. I would look at my journal and see how far I had come. Rising strong doesn't mean you never fall. It means you learn how to get back up, again and again. Looking back on that dark time, I see it differently now. It was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. The pain I endured became the crucible in which my strength was forged. It taught me about resilience. It taught me about the power of vulnerability. And most importantly, it taught me about gratitude. I am grateful for the job I lost because it forced me to find a truer sense of self-worth, one that isn't tied to a title or a salary. It led me to a path of service and connection that I never would have found otherwise. My worth comes from my courage, my compassion, and my willingness to show up. This journey has fundamentally changed me. I am no longer afraid of the dark places because I know I can find my way through them. I have learned that my scars are not a sign of weakness. They are a testament to the fact that I have survived. They are a map of my resilience. My own struggle with shame has become my greatest asset. It allows me to connect with others on a deeper level. It has fueled my passion for building communities where people feel safe enough to be their whole, imperfect selves. The work I do now, helping others feel seen and heard, is the most rewarding work of my life. We all have stories of struggle. We all have moments when we feel lost in the dark. Your pain is real. Your story is important. It deserves to be told. It deserves to be heard. Do not carry it alone. The world can feel like a vast and lonely place, but we are all in this together. Your vulnerability is not a weakness. It is your most courageous and powerful asset. It is the birthplace of connection, belonging, and love. When you have the courage to share your story, you create a ripple of empathy that can heal not only yourself, but also those around you. So, I invite you into the arena. I invite you to be brave with your story. Find that trusted friend. Pick up that journal. Take that first small step toward healing. And when you see someone else struggling, have the courage to listen and say, "I'm here. You are not alone." Our collective strength is found in our shared humanity. It is found in the moments when we dare to show up and be seen, in all our messy, beautiful, and resilient glory. Your story of overcoming has the power to light the way for someone else who is still lost in the dark. Let's be the light for each other.